Rules for official matches. 1. Stream. If a team fails to make the stream in their respective match, a +1 will be counted for the opponent. They have before the 20-inch minute of TPS. If neither of the two teams broadcasts the match, and there is no referee or moderator inside the game, then it will be mandatory to repeat the match. 2. Teleport. Players will not be able to teleport to stop a penalty kick of the opposing team or to stop a counterattack either by taking the ball away or hindering. The opponent will be counted +1. However, if a player makes respawn and an obvious goal chance is not hindered, then the action will not be sanctioned. 3. Rush. The rush consists of pressing the player on the corner kick, either wanting to intercept the ball or standing close to the player. The opponent will be counted +1. To avoid this, they must stay within their area on corner kicks. 4. Goal kick thefts. If a player steals the ball from the GK who has not touched the ball yet on his goal kick, the opponent will be counted +1, but this is cancelled if the GK touches the ball in the slightest and the ball is lost there. Additionally, there may be situations in which the ball is stolen from the GK when he has it in his hand. If an auto-drop has happened, when the ball is released to the GK without the latter having pressed any key, if there is a goal in the next play, this will be cancelled. 5. Cards. If a player gets 2 yellow cards on different legs, it will be equivalent to 1 red, and in addition to playing with 1 less, the next match is lost, and if a player gets 1 red either on 1 or 2 legs, he will have to play with 1 less and will miss the next match. To clarify, if a player gets a red on the first leg, he must leave the field and leave his team 3v4. In the second leg, the team that received the red must remain with 3 players, a replacement cannot enter. 6. Settings. In the matches, the long time must be placed compulsorily, or else the match will have to be restarted. Also, it is advisable as well as optional to choose golden goal to start the 2-leg faster. 7. Last man and last CB. The last consists of the last defender fouling the attacker from behind. If this is done, the opposing team will be counted +1. The last CB consists of fouling the last defender, and if there is a goal in this way, the goal will not be given valid. Note that last defender refers to any player, that is, the goalkeeper is included in this terminology. The lasts that are made by player lag, must be evaluated to determine the corresponding sanction. Clarification. When there is GK, and the GK is in a well-positioned goal, if the defender commits last to the striker, then the defender will be sent off with a red card. When there is no GK, and the striker is in front of the empty goal and is fouled, +1 is charged but a red card is not awarded. 8. Save delay. The save delay is based on covering it being GK or player so that the game counts it as a goal, but by server delay the ball ends up leaving the goal. It is recommended that players take clips to evaluate whether a move is a goal or a save delay. The fact that the ball touches the net does not necessarily mean that a move is a goal. 9. Multi-accounts. Multi-accounts may not be used to play in 2 different teams as 2 different people, otherwise the sanction will last between 5 matches to an entire season. 10. Loan. Any player who is in the starting lineup of a match must be signed by the club, otherwise he will not be able to play. You can sign up until the last minute, that is, until the time of the official match. If the match is scheduled at 1900 hours, you can book until that time, but if the booking is at 1901, it will be invalidated. 11. Scripts. Any exploit, script, hack, etc., is prohibited, and if this prohibition is discovered in any individual, will be punished with a permanent ban. 12. Fair play. If in a side kick it turns out that a team took a wrong kick and a free kick is awarded to the opponent, whether this was a mistake of the game or not, giving fair play is optional and does not merit a penalty of not being made. 13. Pass back. The PB consists of giving the GK a pass and that he grabs the ball, the opponent will be counted +1. In case of a casual bounce, the PB will not be counted. Also, if a goalkeeper releases the ball and grabs it again, with the attempt to make time or correct a mistake of his own, this will be considered PB also. 14. Time wasted. The time waste will be recorded during an entire match, and if a clear predisposition of a team to lose time is detected, then the staff will decide a reasonable amount of additional minutes to be played to compensate for the lost time. 15. Glitches/bugs. Glitches and bugs are prohibited. If a goal is made from these bugs/glitches, it will not be counted. This is specific in shots, since some players have been doing Visu after it was removed from TPS. It should be clarified that the owner of the game himself called these shots glitches. The shots that you have to use more than 2 tools apply for this rule. Glitches such as the speed glitch or others that benefit the player may become punishable. 16. Rank. The range is a square exactly. It doesn't matter which area you kick from, it should be a square. If the play is very fair and the shot is on the edge of the square, the play will be reviewed. If the player kicks behind a frame but the ball gives react from the frame, the goal will be validated. 17. Replay. Have the replay option activated to analyze the plays from the transmission. If the plays are doubtful and the replay could not be seen and there is no clip, the goal will not be counted. 18. Hang. The hang consists of committing a bug that does not make you TP to your field and you take advantage of it to be in the rival area waiting for a long throw. If a goal is scored, the goal will not be counted. This also applies to those who have just entered the field after leaving the locker room. They will not be able to participate in a play if their action prevents or contributes to an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. 19. Serves. Any kind of bugs that may exist with the new side kick system is prohibited. The fair play is optional, that is, if for any reason a team does not receive a side kick when in principle they should have, the opponent is not obliged to grant them a new one. Also, for the goal kick the goalkeeper may go out playing, however he may not grab it again if it is not touched by a player of the opposing team. Doing so will be charged +1 and will be penalized as playback. 20. Warns. The only action that allows warnings before a sanction is that of the speed glitch. If it is performed in a match, any subsequent action is invalidated if it benefits the team that committed the infraction. A player can perform the speed glitch up to 2 times before being sanctioned in the game with a red card and being forced to leave the server, leaving his team with 1 less. However, from the first time you perform the speed glitch you will have a penalty in subsequent matches that will be equivalent to 1 match without playing. If you do it twice in the same match, the penalty will increase to 2 matches without playing. 21. Chapel. A player who has 5 accumulated cautions will not be able to play the next match, applies individually in the competitions. In case of a cup, the chapel will be restarted from semis. 22. Visu. The visu shot may not be used under any circumstances, neither to score a goal nor to give passes. Any goal play generated with the use of this shot will be cancelled, and the one who makes it will have a penalty. 23. Speed glitch. The use of the speed glitch in official matches in any of its 2 expressions is prohibited, either the push with the ball variant or the 1-key spam variant. Its use will be penalized with 1 game without playing, or 2 if it is committed more than once in the same match, and additionally the player will have to leave the court. 24. Game passes. All game passes are allowed. The only exception would be the teleport when a move is being made in the middle of the game, as if to avoid a counter or goal situation. If the goal situation is clear, +1 will be awarded if the player interferes after having teleported. 25. Boosts. All boosts are prohibited, with the exception of the instant stamina boost. If it is reported that a player is using boosts, the leg will be annulled and, at the discretion of the referee, the corresponding sanction will be given. 26. Flick. The players will be able to make a maximum of 1 flick to assist or to score the goal, otherwise the move will be cancelled, the same if it exceeds 2 flicks in an isolated move. 27. The GKS will only be able to play in that position for the whole championship. They will not be able to become players and they can only come out substituted at the end of the leg. They cannot come out as a change in full leg as if the players can, so those who choose to be goalkeepers should take this into account. Because if someone who has played as GK gets to play a match as a player, the match will be repeated. 28. For a GK or player to be taken into account for the rankings, they must have played at least half of the possible matches of the competition. 29. Anti-fake. The players must send an anti-fake in the respective channel. If they do not do it and continue playing, they will be sanctioned with yellow at -20, and if after the HT he has not sent anything and continues playing, he will be red. In case of discovering that it was indeed an alt, he will be sanctioned. 30. Kick. Any kick not requested by the DEET will cause the match to be paused from that moment and resumed from the same minute on another server. All the players will be supervised, so if they try to leave and enter the league to have the role of one team removed and sign for another without us noticing, they will be sanctioned sportively and financially. If a player leaves the league having a team, he will have a financial penalty. Sports, and in extreme cases you will have to pay a bail to return to play in the season. Any violation that is not in the regulations must be reported to the staff and will be analyzed. Rules for debts. 1. Maximum number of signings, 20. 2. The league will have its own market. There will be 2 windows, summer and winter market. 3. Summer market. It will be like a normal league where he will be signed asking and with captures. During this market, if you want to take a player from another team, it is enough that the player wants to leave and informs his manager that he breaks it. If he is made jail, he will become part of the other team automatically. Mandatory, salary, and if there is a clause or not. Once signed by a team and the market is closed, the only way out will be by negotiation. So if you do not want to stay in one team or want to go to another because it seems better to you, the club must pay your compensation or make a transfer/assignment, agreeing the 2 DTS and the player. Without negotiation, the signing will be invalid. With the market closed, there is no jail. If you want to go to another team, they will have to pay. If you are F/A, you can be signed at 0 cost while the market is open. When it closes, they will also have to sign you for money. 4th, winter market. In this market, only the money will be used exclusively for the signings, either free agents or players from other teams. If there is a lack of money, you can offer money plus player for some player from another team or agree to earn a percentage for a future sale. In a negotiation, all 3 parties must agree. Therefore, if a player does not want to leave and the other clubs have already agreed, then the transfer is invalid. The same if a club does not want to let a player out, even if the other club and the player have agreed, it will not be validato the transfer. For these cases there are clauses, letters of freedom and compensation. 5. The maximum number of transfers or transfers when the market is closed is 3. Once the limit is reached, you cannot sign until the winter market opens. Once the winter market is closed, you have another limit of 3. If you meet them, then you will stay with that current squad until the end of the season. 6. Transfers of at least 2 dates are valid, only valid in league. The transfer will have a price and a salary agreed to the player. After the transfer, the player cannot play for his previous team again until the deadline expires. If the 2 dates pass and the player has played 1 or 0 matches, the transfer will still end. In the summer market, the transfers are free in terms of money, but they will continue to receive the established salary. A player can be loaned out and the club make a transfer of money plus player X player or player X player, only once before the winter market and again after it opens. The player cannot refuse the latter, but the former. 7. Tier restriction. There will be 10 tiers, this will greatly influence the market, salaries, assignments, etc. Tier F, new/horrible. Tier E, very bad. Tier D, bad. Tier C, improvable. Tier B, regular. Tier A, decent. Tier S, good. Tier 10, very good. Tier Y, almost top. Tier Z, top. 8. Read the money and salary system so that you know how to organize your money well in the category money and salary channel. 9. Once the season has started, you cannot leave DT or there will be a penalty. 10. Every signing or transfer must include the player's salary, he must respect the limits established according to his tier that are found in the salaries channel, both the manager and the player must agree on the salary, if the player wants to charge more and the manager refuses, the signing will be invalidated and vice versa. 11. You can have a maximum of 2 loaned players in your team, these will not count as transfers since they still belong to the other club, as said before the transfers are a minimum of 2 dates and each player already has a defined salary according to his tier, you can find out more about this in the loans price channel. The transfers can be made with the open or closed market but with the restrictions already said. 12. Clauses and renewals, get the information about this on your respective channel, it is very important. 13. If a player wants to leave but the team he is on refuses to let him go, then the only way to leave will be by deciding not to renew, with a team paying him the clause if he has it or activating the release card if he does not have a clause. If a player does not want to leave but the team wants him to leave, even if he has already closed a transfer with another team the transfer cannot take place, the ways to give him exit are, by means of a transfer, including it as a method of payment for a transfer, for example, money plus player X player or player X player. Release him or by paying compensation to leave him free. In case the player declares himself in absentia and refuses to play because he does not like his team, he has these options. At the summer market, he may agree a transfer with another club and his current club will be obliged to transfer him. If the transfer ends or he does not want to be transferred and he still does not want to continue at the club, he should only wait until the end of the 15th date and decide not to renew. At the winter market, he will be able to agree on a transfer, wait for his clause to be paid, activate the release card, and in case he no longer has a release card and has no transfers available, he will no longer be able to leave his club. And in case of deliberately refusing to play for his team, he will be sanctioned, the sanction will be decided by the staff. In case a player does not want to leave and the club does not accept offers of transfer or change of player, it only remains to compensate the player, and if the club does not want to pay his compensation, he can keep him in his squad but without letting him play even if he would occupy a space. This could make the player bored and activate his freedom card, but in case the player is still reluctant to stay and does not activate his freedom card either because he cannot or does not want, it will only remain for the club to pay the compensation or leave him in his squad until the season is over. The opinion of the player and team will matter a lot, so the best thing is to try to convince them. 14. The signings must be finalized maximum 1 hour before the match, 1 minute after it is invalidated. 15. If your club is bankrupt at the time of playing a match, with negative numbers, you will not be able to play the match and the opponent will be given auto-win. When playing matches you will get a profit or loss depending on the result, although this only applies in official matches and not in the preseason. Each match won will give you 500k club money and 20k money for salary. Every lost match will take 250k money from the club and 10k money for salary. For the market, the purchase price must be between the given values and cannot be lower, player exchange is accepted or player/S plus money for transfers, the price is agreed by the 2DT. Price for assignments, this starting from the minimum that are 2 dates, for each more date that is assigned half the price will be increased. For example, if you want to have a tier C assigned for 3 dates you will pay 1.5M and if there are 4 dates they will be 2M, so applies with all tiers, and assignment salary, for each date or day. Clauses and renewals. Clauses are optional for the player since they decide whether to have them or not. These can work as a way to escape from the team avoiding negotiations. The amounts that players can add to their clauses vary according to their tier. It should be emphasized that players can only add clauses until the winter market starts and the DTS can only activate the clauses from the winter market. If a clause is activated, it is enough for one party, either manager or player, to say yes for the player to become part of his new team, where obviously he will have to negotiate his salary and etc. If at the time of renewals between the 15th and the winter market the player has a clause in his current team, he can only modify the price but no longer withdraw it until he is bought by another club where he can no longer have a clause by the aforementioned rules, and in case of not having a clause he can renew and decide whether to continue without it or have one and agree on its price. Once the winter market has started, if the player arrives to a new team, he will no longer be able to have a clause. Renewals, after the 15th date that would be the half of the season, all DTS are obliged to make a decision with all the players of their squad, including the loaned ones if any. They must decide whether to renew them or leave them free. In case of leaving them free they can charge the player an amount according to the tier for leaving the club or they can decide not to charge them, and in case of deciding to renew it, the player can decide to charge the club an amount according to their tier or decide not to charge them. Renewal and release. if the issue of the renewal or release of the player is not resolved before the winter market opens, the DTS will have a period of 5 days between the completion of the 15th date and the opening of the winter market. The player will be directly released from the club. If the club decides to renew the player, then they must re-agree the salary, the price of the clause. It is mandatory to negotiate the price of the clause. You can leave it the same, but it can no longer be withdrawn if the player has a clause at the time of renewal. And if the player does not have a clause, he can decide whether to have it or no. La renewal and release will have their prices. In the case of renewal, it will be what you will pay the player for staying, and in the case of release, it will be what you will earn for discarding a player. Once the player is released, you cannot try to buy him again until he has signed for another team. Both the team and the player can decide not to charge the release price or the renewal price. The salary of the players applies every 10 matches, therefore we will count how much they all play and the results will be the lineups. So if you play 9 matches, sadly you will not be paid the salary the same if you are 19 or 29, etc. The pay is only after you play 10 matches and so on. You will be paid again if you reach 20 and again if you reach 30, so on. With that, you play on the field 1 minute, the same counts. The DTS salary will be $375k per season. If a player plays 10 games in one team, he will be paid, and if he plays 10 in another, he will also be paid. That is, if you play 5 in one team and 5 in another, it will not count. You must play if at least 10 games in each different team for your first salary. If you had 9 games played in a team and you were transferred, the account will be restarted to earn the salary. Even if you return to the same team by transfer or assignment, the games account will be restarted to 0 and not to 9. That would be where you stayed. All this in one case hypothetical. The players who are on loan will have the accounting of matches frozen to earn the salary. Once their loan ends, the accounting is unfrozen from where they stayed, since they will receive an independent salary when they play in the team where they are on loan. Signing bonus. It is the cost that the F/A will have from the closing of the summer market. The price varies according to the tier and the money will be received by the player after agreeing on the amount. Freedom letter. If a player does not feel comfortable in his team and his coach does not want to let him leave, or he does not receive any offers, when activated, the coach will have 24 hours to get someone to pay for his signing. If at the end of the 24 hours the DT does not find someone to buy him, the player will be immediately free, F/A, but must pay the club an amount equivalent to his salary or the salary he earns. Only applies if the player does not have a clause and can only be used the freedom card once a season, available from the start of the winter market. Compensation. If a player does not want to leave the club and denies offers from other clubs, or if the club wants to make room and has no offers, it can compensate the player. This will make the player free, F/A, but the club must pay you an amount according to your salary or salary that you received. They can only be done after the summer market closes.